тобой, ты мой Бог. Буду славить тебя за все, что сделал ты для меня. Утешитель, покров мой, покой мой и сила в тебе.
Некоторые начинают вставать в служение, а я отступаю от этого. Уступаю место для них.
Hello, my name is Neil Basta. I am from Gasaway, which is in West Virginia. I go to Fairmont State University, and this is my junior year. I would like to share something with you. Silence in my ears as being deaf traveled halfway around in the world to Russia, brought extreme challenges but worthy experiences. Prior to the trip to Russia, I faced interesting experiences with God. Like Abraham, God tested my faith and knew that I need to grow in my faith and my understanding of the Bible more. Even then, he knew I loved to make a difference in the world and want to travel far away for unique experiences. God had spoken through Pastor Holly to me, and sometime later gave me the opportunity. I was proud to answer his calling for me. But suddenly, another extreme challenge I had to face. God tested my trust in him. The extraordinary challenge was that I had to raise more than $5,000 for everything, even raise the money in simply 1.5 months. Like Noah, I followed his instructions to trust in him with all of my heart and very little time to accomplish a task, like Noah did with his ark in little time. God knew how outgoing I am and how strong I am with the challenges of being deaf. I was at a point where God poured extraordinary and extra, more intense challenges on me. As I came to understand it, God wanted me to warm up for the upcoming extreme missions in Russia for me as a deaf person. As I arrived in Moscow and St. Petersburg in Russia, I never thought I would meet that many deaf people, but I did. I went to a deaf ministry and was amazed by how many deaf and hard-of-hearing Christians were there to worship on Sunday. I was so pleased and thanked God. Their Russian Sign Language was very different than I thought. It impacted me more than I thought and exceeded my expectations. I was pleased with the extreme challenges. I didn't give up and worked hard to understand what they said. I learned some sign language in Russian from them. As I learned from them, there is big inequality among deaf Russians to the point that there is no support from the government, such as laws and interpreter services. There are even refusals to give them jobs. The deaf Russians still have faith while facing the factors of being unequal in society. God wanted me to be reminded in an extreme way that I will never forget it. God knew that I would be sharing my experiences and try to make a difference in people's lives, communities, and governments by my extraordinary experiences from God in deafness. God wanted us, as Americans, to appreciate more and more instead of wanting more and more. I realized how fortunate I am to be in America, land of equality. I could say God bless America easily with a deeply touched heart. It affected me a lot because I care about people more than myself. The only way deaf Russians can make a living is to live with their families and friends. They have to work any way possible to make enough money, like helping out other people, but they are very lucky if they get hired for a job. Only a few of them live on their own, and it's expensive. I have kept these experiences that I've learned from the deaf ministry with me. A few times God tested to see if I would spread the word about God and Jesus Christ. That took place when I never expected to meet deaf Russians outside the church. It was so obvious that God really did that to me because of the random places I saw deaf Russians. What's that supposed to mean? God's plan and test for me. When we were eating at McDonald's one morning in St. Petersburg, I saw 2 deaf women in the back having a conversation via Russian Sign Language. I pushed myself to go to talk to them. I made some encounters by talking to them about faith in Jesus Christ and God. One of the women goes to the Orthodox Church, but the other woman doesn't have faith. So I told them about the deaf ministry that I went to, which they had heard of but weren't interested in. I encouraged them to at least check it out and see if they liked it or not. They started to see my reasonable suggestion and hinted that they would consider it. I explained to them that they could meet new people, and after that I was proud of myself for making encounters and showing God that I would dare myself to meet them and spread the word about God and Jesus Christ. The same thing happened when I met one young deaf girl and an old man. I realized something about most deaf Russians. Most of them don't have faith, but an extraordinary message hit me from God as He directed me closely enough to the point where I felt His presence so preciously. It was a fair weather day, just a bit cloudy. We had gotten off the bus in an area where there was a local market, and the whole team came in to shop for food. I was walking with them, but I saw deaf Russians outside. They were talking by Russian Sign Language. As I said before, I know very little of Russian Sign Language, just of what I learned from the deaf ministry at the church. So again, I dared myself to approach the deaf Russians outside of the local market. There was a deaf couple and a family of 3 kids and parents. They were all deaf. I wanted to extend my hand of friendship to them. They noticed me through my effort of communicating with them. As I explained to them about our mission of faith, the deaf father of the family was proud to say they were all Christians. I looked at the deaf couple. The deaf couple said they weren't sure about God, but the deaf father of the family has been encouraging them to understand God more and become Christians. I noticed from him something more extraordinary. This happened when I asked them if inequality in society and government caused them to have no jobs. The deaf father of the family explained to me that he owned a business. It amazed me by that fact about him, since starting a business in Russia is difficult, and even more so for deaf Russians. So I knew it was God who blessed him and his family. God has helped them. They have a lot of faith in Him. Their living and even their lifestyle is well satisfied. I was impressed by the extraordinary message that hit me from God. They all appreciated my courage to approach them, and they hugged me goodbye and extended their hand of friendship back to me. Friends play a very important role in society. A big light bulb lit up above my head when I understood what all this meant to me. It's something more than just the heart of Russia, more like global connections of faith. God didn't just want me to understand how much He has provided for us. He wanted me to understand that anyone who has faith in Him, anywhere in the world, will be blessed. Like John 3:16, God loves the world and even Russia, and blesses anyone who has faith in Him, in Jesus Christ. Like the deaf father of the family and deaf Christians at the deaf ministry, they were blessed by God because they have faith in Him, even through hardships of being unequal in society, with no job and other difficulties. That is what connects everyone, not just deaf people, but anyone anywhere in the world, because God so loved the world. God knew that He had to test my faith and my trust in order to understand how God blesses anyone who has faith in Him, no matter what, whether through hardships, good times, anything. I want to thank BCM for giving me the opportunity to share my experience with you. Thank you.